Hello and welcome to This Week in Bitcoin, brought to you by Relay Private. And there's a lot that's been happening this week. Various announcements by central banks, politics, and Bitcoin is getting involved again. And we got some good news from miners down in Paraguay. So let's get stuck in. News number one are for everyone out here in Europe, and that's that the ECB has announced lowering of the interest rates by 0.25% or 25 basis points, joining as the second central bank in the G7 that has announced rate cuts. And if this has been your first time in the ecosystem and you've never experienced this, rate cuts usually means an ease of the system, an ease of pain. Most likely later on also some money printing, and money printing always has led to an enormous reaction in the markets. This is including Bitcoin, which has in the past also seen its waves of incredible performance during rate cuts. With this announcement, the ECB is actually ahead of the Fed in the US because Jerome Powell announced that he doesn't feel comfortable yet and he doesn't see enough ease in the system to lower the rates, potentially doing it at the end of this year. Who knows? And also with this announcement, the ECB had to counteract because the whole inflation situation in Europe is definitely different than what we see in the US. We've got more than one country compared to the US who has to do these decisions. And on the other hand, also it's been a lot of pressure building up, especially for Christine Lagarde, who had to somehow react and lower these rates. Whether this will lead to a new rally or just more money printing and pain later on, we'll see. But for now, Europe is lowering their rates. And then the second news is out of the US. And this is really the moment where we've now seen an official statement by Donald Trump and his campaign that they are heavily supporting Bitcoin. He made a post saying how Bitcoin has its values like the US. The mining industry in particular should be brought back to the US and the US should become energy independent again, and really hammered down this point that Bitcoin, after all, and the mining industry is the way to go. This led to a very positive reaction in the Bitcoin community. Again, it's election season. We have to keep this in mind and we'll have to see if he sticks up to these promises. But especially around the Bitcoin magazine circles who are advising the Trump campaign with their Bitcoin duties and whatever they want to do in the coming years. If they were to become the elected party again and he would become president, we need to wait and see if he actually holds up with these promises. There are two things to consider. One, again, election season. Let's always wait and see if these promises are fulfilled. And secondly, the mining industry coming back to the US and being more centralized there's really no other way of saying this, is a bit troublesome because it's already very focused on the US as a particular. Most of the hash rate, if not more than 50%, are coming out of the US. And if you compare this to what's available in the mining network, it would be let's just say a counter narrative to what we see with decentralization and everyone being able to join the network. However, having said that, we already have seen alternatives outside of the US, in particular in small countries who have utilized their energy independent and the cheap form of energy they have to their advantage. And who knows, this reaction could also be a very positive one for all of these countries. Having more mining sites that run on renewables that are less dependent on grid structures is always a positive, and we'll wait to see if that actually plays out. And speaking of mining, we also have the last news with positive news out of Paraguay. For a long time now, there actually has been a lot of worry surrounding Paraguay. There's been various statements, they're going to ban mining, it's not going to be possible, and Paraguay has benefited immensely from the mining industry. However, Javier Jimenez has actually announced this week that these worries should be put behind us. He has spoken to the president's-elect office. They all have said that they've realized the potential it has and that they will continue selling energy to the miners if they're officially registered. And this brings in now a few discussion points, whether it's actually good that you have an extremely regulatory pressurized environment where you can mine and use a cheap electricity if you commit to these steps. But on the other hand, you also have the benefit of actually growing the entire country through Bitcoin mining, showing the positive effects, and therefore having the ability to, build a new mining site along what we previously stated with the market in America. We'll wait and see if there's any updates to this, but for now, if you've been mining in Paraguay or if you have invested into the infrastructure there, you can breathe again because it will continue. And with that, we're at the end of This Week in Bitcoin. You know the drill. If you got questions, feedback, just want to say hello, leave a comment below, and I look forward to seeing you next week again.